Can you remember the first time you watched the Masters? For me, 1986, I was sitting in South Africa. You know, I'm 6, 7 years old. Because of the time change would come on at like midnight.
Yeah.
We were only getting the second 9 coverage back then. And I begged my parents to be able to stay up. And that was the first Masters that I watched.
Maybe. Yes, sir!
Can you remember, like, what was the first time you saw it on TV or heard about it or...
I remember...
got the bug, so to speak?
Some of my most fond memories of watching the Masters came here at school. I'd take my free periods and go into the library, and I'd get, by that time you could then log on and you could watch Amen Corner, you could watch 15-16,
Yeah.
you could watch whatever you wanted to. I'd go watch it until I essentially would just about get in trouble. And then I'd go through the rest of my day and then watch it on the weekends. But, I mean, the two moments that stick out were Phil winning for the first time, was that 04? With his jump.
Was it his time?
And then Tiger's chip in on DeMarco on 16 is I think the coolest shot that I've ever watched live in the sport.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the best shots that's ever been hit. So.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow! In your life have you seen anything like that?
Some useless trivia for you. That chip-in that you referenced in 05, DeMarco and Tiger. So on that Sunday, I was in the second to last group.
Okay.
And I actually made a hole-in-one on 16.
Right in front of them?
Right in front of that chip-in.
No way.
Nobody remembers it because one of the greatest shots in major championship history was Tiger chipping in.
That's amazing. I don't remember it at all. I remember watching it. That's so funny.
I was so jacked up. I mean, I'm in my early 20s. And the next hole, I drove it down the fairway, airmailed the green, and doubled 17.
No way.
Ended up finishing 5th.
Well, I mean, you played 16, 17 even, I guess.
That's it, yeah. Hey, maybe I'd have taken it if you had offered it to me.
And obviously learned a few things that day that helped you out a few years later. Yeah.
The crowning moment in the life of every Masters champion. The putting on of the coveted green jacket.
I'm sure there are a lot of early wake-up calls in South Africa. Golf has a new major champion. Jordan Spieth, the talk of the world of golf.
It's outrageous, isn't it?
One of the epic performances in the annals of the sport.
So close, huh?
Right up the street.
Wow, so you've been here pretty much your whole life in this area.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like big city, but small town bubble.
Oh, that's great.
This was the senior courtyard, only seniors allowed.
Okay.
I'm assuming it still is. That was always nice just to have you always felt like the big man on campus to have your own space.
That's right. What comes back to your mind when you walk in these hallways?
I should be dressed like you or else I'd be in trouble. You gotta wear your blazer this time of year.
You guys blazer tie?
Wear a blazer tie this time of year. You don't have to wear a blazer when it's hot out. So Josh Bell was in my class.
Okay.
So Josh Bell, he's a Major League Baseball player. He's a switch hitter, and I remember pitching against him in like 8th grade, and I'm left-handed, so he'd come up right-handed like what switch hitters do. They hit opposite whatever the pitcher throws. He hit a homer off me. Then he came in to practice going left-handed 2 innings later and hit a double off the wall. I was like, I should probably quit baseball. Hey, Coach. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great.
Good to see you. This
My
is
golf
pretty
coach,
cool.
Kathy Marino.
How are you? Trevor Illman, great to meet you.
How you doing? Good to see you, Jordan.
Let's head over to the theater and sit down and see what else we can talk about. Here we go.
Bright lights.
Wow.
You're used to this. This is every week for you now. Sit down.
We're going to climb up here. I'll follow you.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, you want to make sure it's stable enough?
No, I'll be behind you to catch you.
There you go.
All right, take a seat. It's great. It's kind of cool here, Jordan.
Yeah,
The
very.
theater at the school. You ever have any performances out here? I mean, anything that jumps back to your mind?
No, I know I've been in here because this was here, but I don't think I was in here very often.
4, please. Jordan Spieth now driving.
You're 20 years old. You're playing in your first Masters. Just a couple of years before that, you're here at the school. I mean, that's pretty remarkable when you think about it.
Yeah, a lot happened between when I was 17 and 19.
The talented 19-year-old Jordan Spieth.
That got me into the tournament when I was 19, winning on the PGA Tour.
Just has this presence about him that he belongs out here, and you talk about a guy with a future. And he's got a bright one.
On that 18th green, I remember getting ready to essentially tap in and thinking, I'm going to get to play in the Masters next year if I make this. It wasn't necessarily about winning a golf tournament. It was, I'm going to get to play in the Masters next year.
He's done it. Jordan Spieth on the 5th hole of sudden death.
Had you played Augusta National before?
So the first time I played it, I actually got in. It's funny. It was a funny story. I had played Pine Valley earlier in the day.
Oh, come on. This is a flex right now.
Yeah,
Pine Valley, Augusta National.
The reason I say that is we got in, and we weren't supposed to get in time, but everything went so smoothly, and we got in, and we got to the cabin. We're staying off the 10th hole.
Nice.
They said, we can either hang out before dinner, or you guys can, you can play 9. There's a couple caddies here, and we said, I was with my instructor Cameron, and I was like, I was just turned 20 years old. I was like, I don't need to sit around and hang out. Let's go. So we actually teed off on number 10 as the first shot I hit there. And Cameron actually hit 2 of the best shots I've ever seen him hit, like a 3-wood and a 7-iron to like 4 feet. And I think he was 1 up on me to start. And I'm like, well, maybe this isn't the place for me if my instructor's going to be beating me. But it was like a 68-degree, playing in the shadows.
Just perfect.
And it was just the most perfect 9. I mean, it lived up to everything I had ever watched. But I also was playing it, it was my 19th through 27th hole of the day of playing some of the best golf in the world. And it was, to this day, maybe one of the greatest golf days I've ever had.
So we're walking down this hallway, saw the flag of your first tour win. We got some medals here, some pics of when you were.
Yeah, these were state championships. It's funny. I was just looking at these, and one of them I was a sophomore, and then junior, and then senior. And the difference between sophomore and senior is pretty dramatic. I think it's like 40 pounds. I think I put on about 40 pounds between those 2 years.
Growth spurt?
Yeah, a little growth spurt, and actually started training and stuff.
Okay.
And, probably shouldn't have been wearing my Texas hat in that senior one, but clearly I was ready. I was ready to get going. I guess.
Ready to go. You had made your decision.
Yeah, exactly. So it's cool. I've seen this before, but only maybe once before. So they've done a great job with this hallway. It's cool coming back and seeing this still here. I mean, it's been a while since I went to school here.
Gotta bring
Trevor,
back
it's
some
been
cool memories.
It's been 15 years now. So.
A champion's dream. Jordan Spieth at the 2015 Masters is presented by AT&T.
Jordan Spieth.
Right. Not an easy shot here to get up and down.
Wow! Oh, goodness gracious.
Jordan Spieth, how about that birdie at the last?
Zach Johnson, Jordan Spieth, and David Hearn will go to extra holes. Zach Johnson.
It's a beauty.
Oh.
No nerves for the 19-year-old. Beautiful.
For the win. Oh, pulled it.
Perfect. How about that for a 19-year-old?
That was something. He's done it. First teenage winner in a PGA Tour event since Rob Goodall in 1931 at the Santa Monica Open.
You went on the PGA Tour to secure your spot in the Masters. You arrived there that week. first drive that week, going down Magnolia Lane, what are the thoughts that are going through your mind knowing that, you know, this is different to the last time I came to visit? Now I'm driving down Magnolia Lane and I'm actually going to be playing in the Masters. What's going through your mind at that point?
I just remember being so jacked up. I mean, I was like, you know, my blood pressure had to be, you know, way off, my heart rate through the roof. And I remember just being like, man, I just can't wait to just be walking around out here.
How about the mindset, though, at this point? You mentioned the excitement. I totally understand that, felt the same way. But is the mindset arriving at that tournament, you're just happy to be there? Or you actually think to yourself, I could win this week?
You know, earlier that year, I'd finished second out in Hawaii, you know, a few other top tens. Like, I was playing as a, you know, a top player in the world.
This is just a remarkable story that's unfolding here, and really it's been in development for well over a year since he turned pro.
If you told me I was going to contend that week, I don't think I would have been surprised, just because they're the same guys.
Yeah. We just got a good look at a young man who's going to be a big part of the future of this sport. And tomorrow could be one historic day here at Augusta.
So after 3 rounds, you find yourself on top of the leaderboard. Great interview afterwards. You know, you're tied with Bubba. You call him Mr. Watson. Is that like you trying to get in his head there, or is this like for real?
I didn't know Bubba well really at all back then, and funny enough, it probably, had I known what I know now, I would have said the same thing, because nothing would bother him more than someone calling him Mr. Watson, right. You know?
What's your age cutoff for calling people Mr.?
Anyone older than me.
So you'll call Bubba Mr.?
Yeah, Mr. Watson, for sure. Just because it'll mess with him.
So you get through that process, you get through Sunday morning to your eventful front side, and you find yourself leading.
The 20-year-old from Dallas to take the outright lead with a birdie at 2.
Yeah, I was leading through 7, and then I lost 2 two-shot swings on 8 and 9. But I remember playing the 4th hole, and you know, number 4 out there is just such a monster of a hole. And I hit it in the front of this bunker on the upslope. Earlier in the week, I had told my coach, you know, I had been struggling on the upslopes of these bunkers, dumping some of them, some of the long shots. You know, it's a shot you don't see very often. No. You're on the upslope of a bunker and you got to carry it a decent ways. But I'd been struggling. I'd either dumped them or caught them a little thin, not thin, but just at the ball more than I wanted to. And I was trying to hit them with my lob wedge, because I hit most every shot around the green with my lob wedge. And he said, why don't you just try hitting this with your 52 degree, take a little bit of the pressure off of the actual strike, and you know, your hands are good enough, you know, you'll figure out how far that's going to fly. And I worked on that shot randomly, not for that hole, but just at Augusta you can have that shot quite a few places. You could have it on 2 to Sunday. You know, there's a lot of places it could be important knowing your landing spot. But on that one, you have to fly that ridge without flying the pin from that upslope of the bunker. And I went in with a 52 degree, and I hadn't hit that shot in a tournament with a 52 degree yet in my life. And I hold it.
I remember.
Will it skip? Yes. Will it skip? Into the hole. Jordan Spieth, the 2 at the 4.
I remember walking off that green being like, I might actually win this thing today.
And you were telling us that at times you would say you're going to sneak out to the restroom and go and watch a little Masters coverage?
Yeah, I'd work my way to the library. this time of year, I'd go watch Masters coverage. And I mean, Adam Scott was my favorite player. He ended up winning a couple years after I left here, but you know, I'd either try to see my favorite player or I'd watch Amen Corner. It's the tournament that I grew up watching every hole. Even into high school, I would go on a bathroom break from class. I go to the library, watch it live on the computer, and you know, get in trouble for missing the rest of class. It's that kind of event to me. I've always dreamed of playing in it. You always dream of you're hitting putts with, you know, your buddies at the golf club growing up from when I was 10 years old, pretending that the last putt's the putt to win the Masters.
At 14 years old, Jordan Spieth can hit a golf ball better than any recreational golfer ever will. The Jesuit sophomore-to-be is also the top-ranked golfer in his class.
The scary part is there's more to come. You can see it when you watch him play golf. It's still under-realized in terms of potential.
Well, my ultimate goal, when I came here, Cam asked me, and I said I wanted to win the Masters.
It's kind of like where the dream started.
Absolutely. I mean, I got my first PGA Tour start when I was in school here.
Yeah.
I played in a few events while I was in school here, and that's when I kind of thought, you know, maybe I can do this. You know, you get through junior golf, but then you get a shot with the big boys, and I thought, you know, I keep working at it. You know, it's one thing to do it 1 week, and then you got to do it, you know, for years and years and years. You got to love the game.
You do.
As you know.
You do, because adversity is going to come at some point.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
It's just so hard to play the first 7 holes well out here, and I was 3 under through the first 7. So if you told me that when I woke up this morning, I would have thought, you know, it'd be difficult for me to not win this golf tournament.
Is there any thought at all to where you're like, you know, I still got to pay my dues here a little bit, or are you just all systems go feeling like I got this covered?
No, I think I don't remember that at all. I remember just being very frustrated. I just let a lead slip away, and then the back nine's tailor-made to Bubba, you know, and he's done this before. So if I could have gotten him having to chase, you know, that's a big deal. That's where my mind was. We kind of had separated ourselves. It was a 2-man race, and I hadn't really been in one of those before.
Starting to separate themselves now, this last group. Young 20-year-old Jordan Spieth goes to the 8th tee, 3 under through 7 with a 2-shot lead.
I lost 2 2-shot swings on 8 and 9. He played 8 the right way. I 3-putted 8 on course knowledge.
Not a good read or a good strike. Now the pressure is on.
From the front to the back of the green there, it's just always slower than it seems, and it checks up faster, and it looks so fast to the back.
That's right.
And I left it short, missed a putt, missed another one on 9 on not being smart.
Oh,
it doesn't come down.
From the 8th green to the 9th green, 4 shots gone.
And I just remember being frustrated.
Great comes.
What a great.
Oh, beautifully gauged.
Wow.
Bubba Watson, the leader alone.
So we fast forward to 18. There's a moment that really struck me as I was watching it, where Bubba taps in. He's won the tournament, and there's a brilliant camera angle of watching him hug Ted Scott, but you're standing in the background on the edge of the green. You got your hat off, and you're ready to congratulate him. And even though you're just 20 years old, you're handling the moment. What's going through your mind at that point?
I wanted to start the tournament over, like right there. I was like,
go again.
360 days can't come fast enough right now, because I was like, man, I really could have done that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't need more time. Like I very much could have done that day.
To think that at one time in this final round, he had a 2-shot lead, but what a debut.
Kind of reminds me, 1978, 42-year-old Gary Player is drawn with a very young Seve Ballesteros, final round. And Gary shoots 30 on the back, 64, wins the tournament. And on the final greens, Seve runs up to him to congratulate him, and Seve's crying. Gary just won the tournament. And Seve's crying, and as he shakes Gary's hand, he says to him, "That was so brilliant. Thanks so much for teaching me how to win this tournament." Is there any part of that, like you just say, you finish and you're seeing Bubba celebrate, but you're like, yeah, now I really know that I've got everything it takes to be able to win the green jacket?
You know, he did a lot really well that day when I look back on it, but our style of golf and the way we played was so different that I wouldn't have possibly been able to say that to him there. It didn't cross my mind at all like that. You know, he airmailed 12 long right, which is you never see anyone miss it there on Sunday, but he's left-handed, so it's okay. If you pull it, it goes far. He knew where to go. On 13, he hit a drive that he thought he missed left. I'll never forget watching the drive. He hits it, and I'm like, oh, I'm back.
Oh, he's looking anxiously, and oh my word, that is unbelievable where that is.
And then all of a sudden there's a roar from around the corner. It, like, not even the crowd straight through, a roar from around the corner, like almost like someone made a putt on the green. And he hit, sand wedge or something into the hole that day.
I thought that it was out of bounds, 70 yards left, and it's perfect.
He actually says that he thought that ball was going to be in the
He had to have. There's 2 gaps, and he was on the left side of the left gap, cutting. I give him, obviously it still bothers me. No, I think.
But what I'm getting at is, in your mind, you know now that you've done it.
And it was about the mistakes that I made myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have enough control to not make those mistakes. I get a little bit better control. I get a little more patient. I was a little more like aware of how to hit putts on these greens, and I want to start over right now.
Yeah.
What's the immediate takeaway for you going forward from this experience?
I'm hungry. To be honest with you, that was fun, but at the same time, it hurts right now. And although it was, going into the week, I wanted to get in contention on back nine Sunday, and that's what happened. And didn't come out on top, but I could take a lot of positives away. Felt very comfortable out there. My game felt like it'll hold up, and I think I'm ready to win a major, and that's a great feeling.
All right, so is this where you keep the trophy?
Yeah, this is where the Masters tournament trophy is.
But right here.
Yeah.
Little space left to add to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, take me back to the first time after 2015 you go back to Augusta National. What was that like?
I went back. I want to say it was like November, December. And when I arrived there, they said, hey, would you like to see your locker? They said, hey, it's over here. They didn't tell me anything about it, and I walked up and I would share with Arnold Palmer.
Wow.
And I thought that was, he's got 4 years on his, and I have the 1. But if you had to pick anybody to share a locker with there, I'd probably choose him. No offense.
Yeah. no kidding. We're on to 2015. And coming into that tournament, you're red hot.
Jordan Spieth, the talk of the world of golf.
Do you feel like that puts more pressure and expectations on you? Or in your mind, are you like, okay, my game is exactly where I needed to be. I learned what I needed to learn in 2014, and now this is my time?
It's exactly what I was going through the beginning of that week, which is focus only on the fact that you're in I'm in as good a form as I've ever been in.
Spoken about this, he's asked about this nice little run he's been on heading into the Masters, and his reply is that I don't consider it to be a run. I consider it to be what I'm supposed to do, the way I'm supposed to play.
I just lost in a playoff in Houston after finishing second the week before. And I was like, well, I'm playing even better than I was last year. I've got more experience. I just won. I learned how to win the previous fall. I won 2 events in a row, but it was really how I learned to win those weeks, like the level of patience that I realized you have to have on a Sunday.
So is that the thing you take from 2014 and then the wins from that point to this 2015 Masters is the patience on the Sunday?
That's right.
Jordan learned from last year's pairing with Bubba Watson in the final group, and he has made the adjustments this year. That's the mark of a champion, awareness and adjustment.
You talk about being a little more level, have the downs be less down and the ups be less up. I just needed the ups to be less up. I was getting so pumped. I'd take the lead and I'd think, oh, we got, we're going to do this thing. And then you realize you got 3 hours of golf left.
Sure.
And so much happens in a hole, let alone, 12 more holes. So I really learned how to win, and it was like, okay, well, here, we stay out of our own way. You're going to have a shot on Sunday, and you'll have to put everything that you've learned to the test. And I got off to a red-hot start.
Oh, the branch.
Just go.
Oh, what an effort. Oh, goodness. Very nearly hold it for
get there.
Yep,
Get there. There it is! 64. One off the Augusta National course record.
You have to love the work.
Yeah.
If you don't love the work, you're just not going to stay committed. So I loved it back then. I think the fact that I was, you know, some schools were allowing kids to start practicing at noon every day, and I was in here and I felt like I was losing every hour after lunch. I thought I was losing something to somebody.
Sure.
So I'd go make the most of it right after, and I played a lot. I didn't practice a lot. I played a lot of golf. I learned how to score.
That's cool.
Learned how to be a post scores and be a real tournament player while I was at school here, for sure.
And in that final round, is there one thing that really jumps out to you that you remember?
I remember being really mad at Justin Rose at the beginning of the round. I thought, there's no need to start out birdieing these first couple holes. Like, you don't need to go birdie one. He hit it in there tight and made it, and I made one, and I'm sure he felt the same way to me on number one. And then I actually didn't birdie two, and he did.
Justin Rose, birdie start.
We knew going into today it was either going to be a coronation of a new generation of golf or one of the worst collapses in the history of golf. Jordan's determining that right now.
And the thing that jumps out to me is I made this putt on 3 that I'll never forget.
It's the experience around Augusta National that really helps. We saw that with Phil Mickelson's putt at 4. 23 years he's been playing here. You get to know the breaks. And Nick, as you said, this is one of those that experience tells you how quick it is down the hill from this side.
A lot of these years I see in third person now. I don't see them in first person anymore because of just, I've seen so much video of it. It's easier to see it from third person and talk about it that way, I think. But I always see this putt from first person. Like it was from behind the hole on number 3 to the Sunday pin, and I was behind it and right, which is where a good wedge shot goes, but it's an incredibly difficult putt.
So much break.
And you play it out there, 4 feet of break, but I just remember hitting this putt and everything was so brain off. Everything was so, I was in such a flow state on the greens there that I just, the speed I hit it, the stroke I put on it, all of it was just natural. It was just instinctual.
How has he done it again?
Yes.
That is his
24th birdie of the week.
And it was just so perfectly in the middle, and everything was so just dialed. That was the moment where I thought, this is mine now.
On the third
I got to
hole
stay
already.
the course. Well, it's mine to win. It's mine to lose.
Yes.
I'm in control. I certainly was leading the whole time, but that was the one where it's like, okay, I have all of the pieces. This was the piece that I didn't have the year before. I wasn't making these. Now I'm making these.
Third birdie on this opening 9.
Taking this game to a new level. Fabulous golf.
I was just really dialed at the putter because I was looking forward to going and putting every green because the stroke felt so good. And I remember I made one on 10 on Sunday. I birdied 10 on Sunday, and I made that putt and thought, this is ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, this hole looks so big right now. This is so awesome.
Come on. Incredible. It's outrageous, isn't it?
At that point, I needed to just play 11, 12, 13 well, and the rest should take care of itself.
Keep the ball dry.
Yeah. You just play to the center of greens, and you don't have to shoot 65 today. You just, work your way to a few under and enjoy the walk. The first year I played, I was in a conversation with just 2 people. It was Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer under the big tree, and them both giving me advice on playing the golf course before I played it for my first Masters, and that was on either Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon under the tree.
That's surreal.
And just telling me essentially you can putt from the center of the green on every hole, and at that point I don't even know if I heard anything they were saying. I was more just like, is anybody seeing this, what I'm doing right now?
Yeah. Any cool stories with you and Arnie?
My hosted dinner was his last, and at that dinner, which was there in April of 16, and as you can probably recall, it was very emotional, and it was everybody telling Arnie stories.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super cool. It didn't matter whose dinner it was. It was what needed to happen, that evening. And, he was very emotional, just sitting and listening. And I was 22 years old, and that was a deep, thing for me at that time, especially given it was my first time at the dinner. I was nervous going in. I didn't know what to think, and then all of a sudden it went to a different place, and I'm really glad it did. And the fact that I got to have a dinner with him, and then everybody turned it into that was pretty incredible.
They're all memorable, but that evening was just super, super special because he really opened up even more so to that room of champions.
And everybody did, right? So that was, I have a cool tie to him, being able to share a locker with him and to have those memories for sure.
I'm ready!
Sit down, Jordan. Sit down. Sit down. Fight! Softly!
Well, he pulled it quite long.
There was a moment at 16 where you hit it over the back to the famous spot where Tiger chipped in 05. And you left the chip shot out, and it looked like about 7 feet short to me.
Just didn't throw it far enough.
Just once again, brutally difficult putt. Mega fast, always trying to figure out how much it's going to break. And Rosie hit a pretty good shot in there to probably 20 feet just underneath the hole.
Justin Rose for birdie. That might have been the moment.
And I wanted to read something that you said. You said, at that point, I didn't care what my stroke looked like.
Didn't care my posture, didn't care the mechanics. It was all feel-based.
And I just said to myself, this is a huge moment.
Let's knock this thing in.
Jordan Spieth, up and down. He's been making clutch putts for 4 days.
The funny thing about that putt is I played a practice round on Wednesday with Ben Crenshaw and Tiger Woods. I finished on 16 and I'm walking to 17, and I stopped on the side of the green and I looked back, and Tiger was hitting that putt from about the same range, about the same spot. But he was hitting it. He hit it like 6 or 7 times. I believe I asked him, what are you doing there? He goes, it always breaks more than you think right there. It's always a little quicker, so you have to play more break to get to the fall line. And I ended up having that same putt, and it was the most important putt that I'd probably ever hit in my life.
Well, we're witnessing history, are we not? Young man who graduated from Jesuit High School in Dallas and has a 4-shot lead with 2 holes remaining.
One of the things when I think back to 2008, I was so super focused, and I had to kind of crawl into my shell. I wasn't even looking at leaderboards. I wasn't paying any attention to anything. Was it the same for you, or was there a point in that second 9 to where you were able to maybe step back for a few seconds and take in everything that was going on?
I don't remember taking in anything. I remember I was walking up. It wasn't until I got to my chip shot on 18. I mean, it wasn't even the tee shot, the second shot. I was like, I'm not taking anything for granted.
It didn't creep into my mind that I'd won the tournament until I hit that second shot on 18 and walked up there, and I said to Michael before we walked up to that chip, I said, Mike, I think we just did it. He said, no, you haven't yet. Don't say that. Just go up there and hit the chip. And that was perfect. That's what he should say there.
I remember thinking to myself, don't forget this walk. Like, don't forget this view. That was, as a kid, it was my dream. So don't get caught up in, you did it. Remember this view, and then go get it in the hole in 2.
I don't know if we've made a big enough deal out of how hard it is to go wire to wire, to sleep on that lead every night. It's been 39 years since that last happened here.
That is quite phenomenal as well.
Up and down for Jordan for the all-time Masters record. Easy.
I certainly knew I was going to win, but it was like, until this goes in, I'm not going to show anything. I still need to get this ball into the hole.
It's worst stroke of the week. He saved it for right there. Never saw anything else that looked like that.
One of the epic performances in the annals of the sport.
You tap in on 18, you tie the scoring record, you win the Masters, win the green jacket. What's going through your mind at that point, knowing that you've finished the race and you got it done?
I think it was, right away, I think it was, wow, I really just did it. It was that simple. I think it was an exhale of, the previous 48 hours were heavy stress on a 21-year-old. So it was like, all right, I did what I should do in that circumstance, but it's not quite that easy to just say you should do it. And so it just felt really good to just stay in my own lane and be me, and it felt really good to learn from the previous year. I felt like I got that one back. I felt like what happened in the 12 months between 14 and 15 was I learned how to play Sundays better, and then it just manifested itself perfectly into that Sunday. I just played where I needed to play.
An exciting new era has just arrived. The next generation is officially here.
America wanted its superstar, and they got one very quickly at 21 years old. Incredible.
So you're walking off the back of the 18th green, your parents are there, your grandfather is there.
Do I get one?
Special moments right there. Those are things you remember forever.
Yeah, definitely. I remember, my parents were there. I remember giving my dad a big hug. I remember Tiger in '97 giving his dad a big hug. Both my parents were instrumental in starting me in the game, and it was cool because it was all the sacrifices that everyone there had made for me, and for me to be able to live out my dream like that. And I owe everything to everyone who was on that green. So it provided me with a lot of joy, and obviously they'll say it provided them with a lot of joy, but it was their sacrifices.
So proud of you. Well done.
Were you nervous at all? Going into the evening, picking the meal?
I was attached to like Zach Johnson, like I was grabbing onto his sleeve. I was like, just tell me where to go, what to say, what not to say. I had no idea. It was, I just really didn't know what to expect. And I wanted everybody to like the food.
Yeah, let's reminisce about this.
Menu over here.
Right over here.
Yeah, upscale barbecue is what we were going for. So
yeah, sign me up.
Went off of a place that I loved to go to in college down in Austin, and they came in and consulted with Augusta, and it was special. There's the menu signed by everybody.
It's one of the cool traditions of that evening, isn't it? That everybody signs the menu as a little memento for the guys.
Yep, pass it around, and everyone gets to keep your own, but you also get to, I have the ones from every year there. It's a special night.
A champion's dream. Jordan Spieth at the 2015 Masters is presented by AT&T.
Do you have a favorite tradition, like when you get on site, first time during the week? What is something that you love to do?
What we started to do is that Monday afternoon, after my practice, we'll go to the champions locker room, and we sit on the patio there, and we enjoy a Pappy Van Winkle, myself and Michael, and typically whoever else we can get to join us. So we sit on the patio. It's normally a nice afternoon. Monday's always beautiful. Yeah. Even if the tournament's not, Monday's always nice. And we sit there, kind of towards sunset, and it's how we kick off our week. We just have, we have one bourbon there, and it's like we get to be up in the champions locker room. Let's not forget that, and we're going to have a great week this week.
So, Jordan, for so many of us that fall in love with this game at a young age, winning the Masters is something that you always dream of.
It didn't hit me until we were driving back down Magnolia Lane. and I rolled down the window and I just started screaming, like as loud as I could, like, whoa! And I did that pulling onto Washington, and then I rolled the window up, but it only hit me, like I let it all out going back down Magnolia Lane. You couldn't see anything, just screaming as loud as I could, and you know, it was my lifelong goal at that point. So,
and at that point it's starting to sink in, like, this is a life-changing moment right here.
Yeah, I mean, in the next week you start to really, it starts to take shape for sure, and it is, and it changed my life 100%.
I'll never forget watching the front of the hole as that last tap in went in the front edge. You know, there was no need for crazy celebrations. At that point, I was just really, really pleased with the whole week, being out on top, being able to stay on top, and to conquer my favorite tournament in the world.
Jordan, congratulations. 2015 Masters champion.
How would you sum up that feeling when it actually happens?
You kind of get like a flashback. You just get a flashback to different moments. For me, it was the club I grew up at. You know, I'm making a putt, pretending it was to win the Masters. You know, not many people get to be a kid and say they want to be something when they grow up, and then, you know, and then follow it along and do it. And I feel very lucky that that was the case. I certainly, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't expect to do it so soon by any means, but you know, it just brought me back to why I fell in love with the game. And then now when you do it, it's like, man, all right, this is living up to the hype.
To all of us that fall in love with this game and start to understand what the Masters is all about, it means something special to all of us. And for me, it's growing up in South Africa and being able to watch the legends play at a golf course that I could only dream of one day having the opportunity to play.
What a round. What a player.
For you, why do you love the Masters so much?
Well, it's the golf course, for one, but second, it's the tradition. It's where I watched my heroes win and say that it was the most special place that they ever won.
Look out! What a finish!
So it became the most special place in golf to me. But it goes back to watching the all-time greats show their emotions around those same holes every year and having some kind of exciting finish from some great player every year.
Yeah. Well, Jordan, thanks for the time, man.
Thanks, Trevor.